We are live. Holy shite. So, welcome to Dungeons, Dragons, and Discourse.
Hi, folks.
I'm half your host. Half your hostesses? Hostess? I am one half of your two hosts. How about that? Eric Tenkar. And with me is none other than Glen Hallstrom. Dun, dun, dun.
Eating circus peanuts.
And not because we're a circus. Not saying
Or it's
that.
hungry.
Sometimes, perhaps, it could be.
Go ahead.
No, go, no.
I just wanted to say, I've let this go for a long time with you and other people, but it's Hallstrom, not Hellstrom.
Oh, no, that's good. Oh, no, good.
Okay. I don't know why I never told you that. I just sort of
I
blanked on it. But I've seen people, I don't get where they get Hallstrom because there's two L's in it. If there was one L, I can understand.
So it's Hallstrom.
Yeah, two L's.
Right. Well, just like it's Stina, not Stein. But half the time, when I call a doctor's office and then I tell them who's calling, it's Eric Stein. Because otherwise, they're like,
I've had play programs misspell it. I've had when I contribute to like games, they misspell it in the credits.
If it makes you feel any better, Glenn, my name is misspelled in the continual life.
Cool. But when people pronounce it, that's something different. It's like that's easily correctable.
Right. No, you're right.
Yeah.
You should have corrected me sooner. Don't worry, I was misspelling Zach Glazer's name for years. Glazer,
well,
right?
I get Glen with two N's too. I always say Glen Hallstrom, one N, two L's.
There you go. Well, Glazer, I always thought it was Glazer, but he's a Glazer.
It's a Glazer?
Yeah, Glazar. He's a Glazer, not a Glazer.
He's Laser Glazer.
There we go. Tribulations within the gaming community, folks. Please forgive us. So now, for those asking what the link is down below, and I'll probably mention.
Yeah, what is that down below?
What's that link down below? Gosh damn it!
Is it a porn site? What is it?
No, it's not a. It's not.
Damn, I would have gone immediately.
Tenkar's Tavern. .substack.com. This is where we are putting up the Tavern Video Network, and the Tavern Video Network is simply a place where you can not just find what's going on this channel, but hopefully Glen's podcast. You got to keep the Glen. You got to keep the Glen.
Well, I don't know. I do the same thing every day, but I could put Thaco's Hammer up there. So
you could. That's fine. Matt Jackson, Joe the Lawyer, Joe Block. Joe Block is the latest to jump into the mix. When I say latest, we only launched this last weekend, so there you go. And Rob Conley is talking about getting together and actually launching a channel, which should be fun and exciting. And Bad Mike. We're all so this is just gonna be a growing network of like-minded individuals, and no, we have no editorial control over anybody's stuff other than our own. So,
I'd rather put Thaco's Hammer up there instead of Radio Grognard because we actually have every show has an agenda and notes, and we actually write down stuff to do instead of just
that's cool.
instead of me in the morning for 3 hours going, what the hell am I going to talk about today?
Okay.
So yeah, do you mind if I put on a fan? It's a little hot in here.
Put on a fan.
There we go. I got this little clip-on fan up here on my bookcase. I use this for two reasons. One, to stay cool, and two, if there's somewhat little background noise in here before I start, I turn that on and then fix it in post. I noise reduce it.
Oh, okay. Glenn, as you know from everything that I've done when it comes to this, I don't fix anything in post. Obviously, live streams you can't, but anything that I record.
Well, it annoys me. I got a little white dog walking around here or banging in his cage and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
John, listen, it really came to me last weekend that I work with a lot of people, and I literally work on this channel with a lot of people that are creating their own material, and nobody knows about it. So really, the only requirement is if you are going to be part of our Tavern Network, is that you either in the show notes of the video or as a pinned comment, you include the link to tenkarstavern.substack.com so people can go and see everything that's being produced. So why not? It's good stuff, and I was severely flattered. Is it severely flattered? I guess that would be a wrong word. I was truly flattered, though, when Joe Block reached out and asked, how do I get to join this thing? So I was like,
not you.
Just ask. We're gonna try. Well, at most we'll add like a channel a week, but we figure we can build up the subs and just build up the views for everybody. It's a rising tide lifts all ships. So there.
You're the king of that phrase.
I am the king of that phrase.
Hello, Mr. Woodard. From
Wild Die Woodard.
Everything's okay in LA. So, hello, Mr. Bloodworth.
Yes. Wow. And Mr. Veralt. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but hey. Big Vic.
Sometime I'll sing solo for you.
Well, you don't want me to sing. Rachel can sing. Rachel
I
has
sing.
a voice.
I've sung on stage. I do karaoke.
And Rach sang at our wedding, and she also does karaoke. I do not. I dodge such like it's a bullet going straight for me. It's like, no, thank you, please, no, thank you. So, Glenn, we're gonna ask you usual starting question of you. What has your last week or so been in gaming?
Well, before we do that, I'm going to ask you, what are you drinking tonight?
Absolutely nothing alcoholic. Go figure that out.
What is it?
It is. I think it's called Sure flavored water drops or whatever. I just spurted some punch into a glass with ice because I'll have some. I'll have some wine later. And by the way, for the other Friday show where we have multiple hosts, we actually have bingo cards put together. So when Eric takes a drink, alcoholic, you get to mark a box off. When Rob Conley says something about LARPing or decides to pull up a screen share, these are boxes.
Or anything about GURPS.
Or anything about GURPS.
I used to play GURPS a long time ago, and I remember when we were playing, I used to have this house rule. Okay, thank you, Rob.
Oh God.
Oh, I hope that's taken the right way.
Rob is a good sport. I love Rob, and I'm looking forward to. He wants to do, pretty much. I believe his channel when he starts it is going to be about sandboxing, about creating your own sandbox.
I'd buy that for $1. Yeah.
Bad Mike's channel is going to be about rarities and collectibles because he has a large collection of such, and he has a connection with a lot of people who have rarities and collections of such in our hobby. So, I'm glad. I mean, you're the Grognard in this, Glenn. You've been doing this.
I know. Bad Mike has probably more stuff than I do in a certain category. But when I was on Save or Die, I used to be, by default, the Judges Guild expert because I had the most stuff from Judges Guild.
Oh, until he bought out somebody's Judges Guild backstock.
Yep, that's right.
And then all
that is right.
I've been to the warehouse, and it's like, oh my God, just stacks upon stacks.
I've of all the stuff that I've sold, game stuff I've sold over the years, because I was out for a while,
Right.
then I got all this stuff back. Those never left me. I never got rid of those. I couldn't get rid of those. They're so much fun.
Fair enough. I mean, that's part of it too, right? I mean, like the Judges Guild stuff had some. I remember back in my gaming ute. So this would be, I guess, early 80s, mid 80s, going to the Complete Strategist, and all the Judges Guild stuff was floor level in these like single or two-tiered like magazine type racks. And they were all dog-eared, and it was on fucking newspaper print, and I'd look at it and I would buy some weird ass indie game that was published on single-sided paper before I would buy Judges Guild, because Judges Guild, to my eyes, and nobody in my group ever bought any of it, was like, look at this stuff. Look, what is it? It's like it's being printed on not even comic book quality paper at the time, being printed on newsprint.
Newsprint.
And then later, I find out the goodness of it.
Well, when I found my first stacks of Judges Guild, it was in like magazine rack, like you were saying, and I didn't see very many dog-eared ones because they just kept them there. Nobody looked at them. So, and that some of them were pristine because they were actually still in shrink.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, these were like just perfect, mint condition.
Well, I mean, the Judges Guild stuff, some of it was very good. Some of it was mediocre. And
that's the fun part, figuring out.
Some of it was really shit. But you had to like take a chance.
I'm a humble person, but when it comes to gaming, sometimes I have a big ego. And I'm the kind of guy who will take something that's really crap Judges Guild, say, give it to me, I can make something of it. I'll just rework it.
Yeah, give me Scrap Faggot Green, and I'll turn that into something.
That's a good module.
Horrible name, though, man. Horrible.
Of Skulls and Scrap Faggot Green. It's a good module, along with the Glory Hole Dwarven Mine.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Not aged well.
But read the thing; it's great. I never read anything like it before. And you know what's funny? They did like 2 or 3 Tunnels of Trolls,
right?
And I looked at Rat on a Stick, and I go, that sounds hokey. That sounds like it's right up his alley,
right?
And so I read it, and I go, well, other than the Rat on a Stick franchise thing, this is pretty good.
And it's funny because that Rat on a Stick franchise was something that Terry Pratchett also used. I wonder if he was inspired. I mean, I'm not saying that it came from, he was inspired by Judges Guild, but it is certainly possible. Was it Eat My Own? Oh, God, Dibbler or something like that? I used to read all the Terry Pratchett stuff back in the day. That was my fantasy series that, there's a new book, I'll buy the hardcover, as opposed to pretty much everything else, I would wait for the soft cover.
Was that good, huh?
It was that good. I mean, they were.
Hello, David.
They ranged from exceptional to awesome, and when they were only exceptional, you felt disappointed because it was a lot of fun, but not all that much fun, I guess.
I hope David got his copy of Gangbusters BX.
Oh, that's right. Shit,
I talked to Mark last night, and I said, will you send this man a comp, please? Because he just bought your Tall Tales.
Yeah, it's right. Mr. Thompson is the UK version of David Thompson.
That's right.
So I have found myself, strangely enough, picking up solo OFR rules, partially inspired by Matt Jackson, but I want to see how well these play out. So I guess over the next couple of weeks we'll have some more information
I
on that.
can I cannot get into solo gaming. I mean, if I did, I'd have all the tunnels and trolls stuff, solo dungeons. I just can't get into it.
See, the problem with the tunnels and trolls stuff, and this is talking from my perspective and my experience, is that there aren't that there are very few tunnels and trolls solos that are aimed at a first level character. So and if you and of course it says you can play with any level. Well, no, you can't, because
Well, way tunnels and trolls is set up, though, it's almost irrelevant. Almost irrelevant. I mean the level.
Well,
The way they work levels in there.
yeah, well, all right, they're not even levels. Then ads. If you don't have enough ads to your combat skills, you're not going to go anywhere in these adventures, and
You're
that's part of it. So, I mean, I own at least one version of, I guess, the first 20, 22 solos. I'm not quite sure what the number is. Some of them are first prints. Some of them are like first and later prints. A lot of the early prints were just stapled together on the side. But they are not necessarily. I guess you could generate a character of the appropriate level to do so. Also, the solos are not made for casters. You pretty much have to be playing a warrior, because they're not made for spell casting. And what I always found disappointing about, and I love Tunnels and Trolls, I always found disappointing that there weren't very many GM adventures or setting material for TNT.
You are right, sir.
God bless you, my son.
Thank you.
So that always disappointed me. I know. What is it? Holmes. There was one third party author that would write some game master adventures for it, but there were no. We don't have an example of a game master adventure, a party adventure for the rule set. It's hard because like TNT works, I think, best with just one-on-one or a solo group, I guess. Large groups seem to break down.
That's unfortunate, because I find the system enticing.
Yeah, so do I. It's just that it like missile combat I've never understood in Tunnels and Trolls. So maybe I got to read Deluxe. Maybe they explain it better again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to. They've got a very active chat today. What is on the menu this evening? More meatloaf, Mr. Gunn. If you've ever experienced Glen and I, we literally go for the leftovers in the refrigerator and see what we can make from the leftovers in the fridge.
I usually take frozen pizza.
Oh.
Well, actually, cooked pizza, cold pizza from the fridge. Let me put it that way. Sometimes pizza is better the next day.
You know what? Some pizza does add better, it age better. We ordered from a nice local pizza. They kind of do the semi-deep dish pizzas, and they were good the first day, but heated up the second day. Something about the crust, it something just changed.
Something bloomed in it.
And Rachel's like, yeah, she's in the background. She's like, something bloomed in it.
I've seen that. There's a pizza chain, a local pizza chain here called Hideaway Pizza. And we've eaten there before. And the weird thing is, I usually take most of mine home anyway because of my stomach. But it's hot. It's okay. But the more it cools down, the better it gets. I haven't figured that one out.
Really? I don't like cold pizza, but reheated pizza
I love cold
is
pizza.
awesome.
I love cold pizza. I eat that for breakfast. Dave, I'll get a hold of him and see what's going on.
He'll shake him up. He'll lean on him.
I'll find out if Mark has done that yet, because I just caught him when we were on chat last night. He just happened to be on Facebook, and so, hey, Dropship Mad Dog 2020. Sure, you wouldn't rather have Night Train or Ripple?
I used to drink Mississippi Mud, and it came in like a fake moonshine bottle, and it was a very heavy malt liquor in the end. David hates brown ale because half his family worked in brewery making it. House was always full of it. Disgusting stuff.
Well, yes, it was. I'm not a fan of meatloaf, but it was pretty good.
Heated up pizza. Go ahead. Hungover or not, I like heated up pizza. See, leftover Chinese, the rice gets crunchy.
I don't like Chinese food, so I think Becky's eating like day old. Why don't you put it in the fridge? And I'm with you. Not room temperature, right out of the fridge.
Oh,
don't let it warm up.
I can't do that.
Anyway, what have I been?
What?
You asked me how much. You asked. I'm finally getting around to how my week was.
Oh,
okay. It was okay. It was okay. Monday's game, the one where I died in, the Eberron game.
Right.
I was still dead, and I spent the rest of the session dead because they had to this place is getting ready to explode. Me and another guy were the ones who died, and they had to grab our bodies and book out of there. And that took us 2 hours to get them out of there. And they were making rolls and stuff. And you know what's funny about it?
What?
I didn't make a roll. I didn't do anything. I was a corpse, but I was having so much fun watching these guys try and get us the hell out of there without me, because I'm the leader.
Oh shit.
And it ended up the place exploded and left a crater in Sharn.
Now, are you going to be raised or resurrected?
I do not know. I'll have to get with Carlos on that. I'll talk to him about it tomorrow night when I go see his seance at the haunted fairgrounds.
Oh, you mentioned something about that. Yes.
Yeah, Gage and I are going to Noble, where they have the Noble Fairgrounds. They call it the Noble Scaregrounds for October. And he does this seance thing, and it's a show.
Right.
I mean, he's a prestidigitator. He does magic and stuff like that, and he's rigged the room before.
Okay.
And we went last year and we had a ball. And it's so funny watching people who are not into it, because some of them just freak out. It's so fun to watch. 5e Eberron. I'm not running it, so I don't care that I can do 5e.
And we made that point in the past. If I'm going to run a system, it's got to be a system I'm comfortable with, and that means it's going to have to be probably OSR or something similarly light, where I don't have to learn everything. Now, did I play 5e at ShireCon? Yes, I did. I was still stunned that my 5th level character had 8 pages of information that I had to learn, which I didn't. Snoopy from Peanuts did not learn everything. But it was playable from the player's perspective, because I didn't need to know the rules. I just needed to know what I wanted to do, so long as the DM, GM knows the rules. You're fun.
Well, when you say I'm comfortable with, to me that translates a system I played to hell and back for the last 30 years.
Right.
And because if they're doing something and it's BX, hey, no problem.
Right.
Or Beck Me or first edition or second edition, I'll just fall right into it, because I know these systems. I want something I know that I don't have to spend time to relearn.
Right. So, listen, 5e is similar enough to the games that I run and play that as a player, I can sit at the table and kind of know what to do.
Yeah, me too.
You know,
That's why I
but,
don't. That's why I won't run it. For
right.
playing it, I don't have to. I don't have to be the be all no all GM.
Right. And I think that is, system knowledge. I don't want to call it system mastery, but system knowledge is a key to being an effective GM. And you have to know what there are some people who can learn systems and run with them all, and God bless them. That's awesome. Really. But I was never very good at foreign languages in school, whether it was high school or college. I got through by the seat of my pants. And when I was younger, I could learn different rule systems pretty quickly. But at the same time, none of them were really breaking concepts that you didn't already know. Like you go from D&D to RuneQuest. All right, yeah, but you're still generating your characters, mostly using 3D6. But now you're going from D20 to D100.
Percentile.
Right.
Yeah.
So once you were able to handle something that was either D20 based or percentile based, most things flew, or they were simple, like Traveler. Now, like when I played in the Alien RPG, I had a blast, had a great time. I never opened up the rule book, even though I owned it, because I knew that Greg was going to do a great job running it, and I didn't need to know the rules. I just need to know what's on my character sheet. What can I do? We had a blast for a number of sessions. I would go back. That's one I might actually be willing to learn. It didn't seem like there was anything hugely weird about the rules. That they were like 5e has so many rules that it's almost. And if you don't know them all, the house starts to fall in. And I think that is like an issue. Old school games, if there isn't a rule for something, you make it up on the spot. Just be consistent with your rules.
Oh, John, you're right. I've done that before. I've seen that done before. In fact, in one of my first Texas Bad Mike B1 games, I saw somebody lose their character in the middle, and they grabbed a henchman and did it, and the henchman did better than the actual player character that they had, the original player character they had.
Yes, Tom and his wife, as well as me and my wife, were in the Peanuts Meet Cthulhu in 5e game, and that was literally my first time playing 5e. So I can no longer say I've never played 5e. But that being said, I played 5e after they announced the death of 5e. Right? There's a new D&D coming, 1D&D. And it promises to be compatible to 5e, but in the meantime, I'm sure they'll be selling no core books whatsoever, because nobody's going to want to buy books for a system that's going to be obsolete, even if it's
well, 1D&D I'm starting to call Bruno because we don't talk about Bruno.
No 1D&D talking. Now, why is that, Glenn? Why is no one talk of D&D?
Because I got all my game systems I want. That's been my stance since 4E. It's like, I don't want to buy it. I don't want to learn it. 5E, I don't want to buy it. I'm going to end up learning it from other people's games a little bit,
right?
Enough to get me by,
but not enough to effectively run it, and that's what I think comes down to it. I like my games similar enough to what I played back in the day that I don't need to learn too many exceptions. Listen, whether I'm running Swords and Wizardry Light or OSE or Osric, you know what?
Or Index Card RPG.
They're all at the heart of it, the same engine, the same game. It's I'm driving a Subaru, whether it's an Outback or a Forester. They're all automatic. They've all got the same. There's just a few little bells and whistles that might change between the models, but I'm happy with that. Now, when I was an active cop, you were driving different. You drove your car to from work, and then you're driving a van. You're driving a scooter. You're driving one of 3 or 4 different model cars or different years of cars at work, and you learn to be a chameleon when it comes to driving different stuff. Now I drive one car, and when a couple of years ago when we had to rent a car at GaryCon, it took a while for me to get comfortable driving a vehicle that wasn't what I had always been driving. And I think it's the same thing with RPGs, especially the GM. If you're the passenger, the car doesn't matter to you, right? If you're
That's
the
right.
player, the system matters less because all that shit's on the other side of the screen. But your mileage may vary. Yes, peak New Yorker, just fine. I was told by my son's mother, God bless her soul, that I was ethnic. She was Puerto Rican, and she said, "You're ethnic." I go, "Ethnic what?" She goes, "You're an ethnic New Yorker." I was like, "What the bloody fuck does that mean?" And she's like,
So,
and she goes, "It's a compliment," but she goes, "You are a New Yorker."
I think so. Does that what New York State or New York City? Probably New York City.
Probably New York City, down to at the very least downstate.
So does that make me an ethnic Angelino?
You could be. You could be. I don't know, man. You know, do you want to be an ethnic Angelino?
What kind of benefits can I get?
I listen. I get no benefits from being an ethnic New Yorker, and again, New York City is one of those weird cities. It's one city, 5 boroughs, but if you live in New York City, you regard every borough as a borough. You go into the Bronx, you go into Brooklyn, you go into Queens, you go into Staten Island. But when you go into Manhattan, you're going to the city. Because Manhattan.
See, that's the thing. When I look at the map, I'm going, this is the New York City. Why don't they just call it Manhattan with all these other boroughs being like suburbs?
Well, and
just because they're on a fucking island? Ooh. You're catching.
The consolidation of Greater New York was in 1898. And I guess it was being done for financial reasons to integrate. Brooklyn was like the 4th largest city in the country at the time. And honestly, and if you're going to be doing like, I don't know, an RPG around the turn of last century, there are interesting little tidbits that you don't hear in the normal history books. But at the end of the 19th century, sanitation in New York City and Brooklyn was not handled by a sanitation department. It was handled by their respective police departments. NYPD and Brooklyn PD were in charge of sanitation. Most specifically, they were in charge of the sanitation barges. At the time, the world wasn't worried about green and recycling and so they would dump the garbage in the East River. But the NYPD would go over to Brooklyn's side of the river to dump their garbage, and Brooklyn would go over to the Manhattan side of the river to dump their garbage, and there would be shootouts between the two police departments over garbage dumping.
Dumping it in the river, didn't they learn anything from the British back in Victorian times? I mean,
when you could basically
they had finally had to clean up the Thames.
Yeah, you could almost walk across it. I mean, there's a reason why, like there are no beachfronts along the East River. Okay, there's a lot of shoreline, beautiful shoreline, but nobody has beachfront property along the East River. So I'm catching up here.
No, they don't.
There are no additions after Tui, man. The only
at least on this show.
Yeah, the only addition after Tui that matters at all is 3E because it gave us the OGL and the SRD.
Yeah, and that's the only reason.
It's the only reason.
You want to play good 3E, play Castles and Crusades.
So actually, to put this into perspective, I never played 3E or 3X. I never played 4E.
3.5.
But 5E and at 5E, I did play D&D next. I shouldn't say I never played 5E. I did a lot of play testing for 5E. And my God, my patience as a play tester wasn't as good as it should have been, because that was there were sessions that were awesome because the system was hewing closer to an older version of D&D, and then there were some sessions that you get the new pack and you're like, what the bloody F is this shit? So, didn't Teddy Roosevelt create the sanitation department? He likely, I wouldn't be surprised.
He was working for him for New York City.
Well, he was one of the police commissioners at the time. At the time when Teddy was on the police commission, they call him a police commissioner. He was one of he was on the police commissioner board. He was a commissioner on the board. But back in those days, not saying it's not corrupt now, but corruption in the city was huge. So, one of the things that was what happened when they did this merge, just weird things. The Bronx and Westchester County had to literally form. The northern part of the Bronx became Westchester County because it wasn't being merged into the city. Queens County got its border with Nassau County shifted. There are houses that are literally in both counties because the county line was just kind of drawn. So the county you're in depends on where your front door is when it comes to getting services from the city or the county. So weird.
You know what I find interesting about the boroughs?
What
is that I know Brooklyn finally became a borough, and it was its own town at one time.
It was literally a city. Yes,
it was a city, and they made it a borough. And ever since then, I see people from Brooklyn. They act like they're the South after the Civil War.
Oh yeah,
it was better when it was a city.
There's a certain Brooklyn pride to the idea that Brooklyn was its own city. Queens was a bunch of cities, towns, and villages. So, like the NYPD flag is it has 5 stripes, and the 5 stripes represent the 5 boroughs or the 5 counties. And I believe it has 23 stars, and it has 23 stars to represent the NYPD before the merge, Brooklyn PD before the merge, and the 21 towns, cities, villages that had their own police departments in the county of Queens before the merge. When this happened, everybody came one big happy family, in theory.
Yeah, I know, but the Brooklynites are like, get over it. You've been part of New York for how long?
Brooklyn is I drive into Nassau County, and sometimes you don't even realize that you left Queens. You drive into Brooklyn from Queens, you left Queens. It just there's a different attitude to it. I felt more comfortable in the Bronx than I've ever felt in Brooklyn. But that's just me.
But anyway,
I am a Queens boy.
Anyway, I think we should talk about gaming, don't you think?
Of course. But now, again, little things like this can certainly be turned into gaming material. By the way, thank you, 5K5. K5K, sorry.
Hallstrom.
What you can do with this is, hey, maybe there are like two baronies in a country that the overall government forces them to merge into a single government for, hey, it's gonna be easier to tax people. We only have to have one force of watchmen, and it's going to lead to the repetition of responsibilities. The government will be more streamlined, but you have 2 very distinct pride in this. and maybe their economies are certainly linked. That was the case with New York City before the greater consolidation and Brooklyn. But once they started connecting with subway lines, then it was like, oh, we just got to bring this all together because it just makes much more sense. But you can turn that into a storyline. But also, if you're doing gangbusters, doing gangbusters in the 20s and 30s, this consolidation isn't that old at that point. You're going to have people that are going to still regard themselves as a Brooklynite, and a lot, there was a lot of rivalry. If you think that the police departments shooting at each other over garbage tells you that there was probably a lot of rivalry between those two cities before that. So you can also use a lot of that stuff in your gaming as background stuff, and get your players involved in the intrigue.
I'm still looking for Shell Beach. Anyway, thank you for giving me a good idea. I couldn't figure out what I was going to do for my Gangbusters game next con, so I think I got a good idea now. Garbage.
The garbage fight.
Hello, Red. Yeah, I mean it worked for The Sopranos.
Well, listen, there are a few constants in the world, right? But sanitation is certainly one of them. And that's you got to
big business.
It's a big business, and it's a constant business. And even as the world changes, as people become consumers, they tend to make more garbage, right? The more you consume, whether it's food, other goods, the garbage accumulates. How much garbage do I put out after half a week, of just accumulating stuff, let alone putting out recycling once a week? I mean, so that's, and there's, like I said, Glenn, there's money in it, and that's something that, I mean, organized crime in New York City has been involved in the private garbage hauling for
and
years.
Construction, garbage, any kind of utility.
Well,
any kind of public utility, I should.
Like the phone companies. Once, if at the time phone companies were, if you had multiple phone companies working in a city, and they were all small and localized, certainly. But once it became like Ma Bell, no, that's you're outside of that. But the unions, I will tell you that they can't control.
Yeah, anything the Teamsters touch, the mob had something to do with.
Yeah. Oh no, not just the Teamsters. I mean, the phone company was Communication Workers of America, and that was a corrupt union at the time too.
When I grew up in Long Beach, my best friend Dana, his father was a trucker. He was local. He hauled like oil from the oil fields.
Right.
And he was a Teamster. And I asked I'd asked my friend Dan about corruption. He says, yeah, my dad says, yeah, we liked Hoffa. We didn't have anything. Our members really liked Hoffa because we knew he was skimming, but he was getting our part too. So, okay, fine. Whatever. As long as it works, I don't care. How do you think they built Vegas? Atlantic City, for that matter.
Big Vic, New City doesn't have corruption. Laughed my ass off. Oh, I was internal affairs for 12 years. Believe me, there's corruption, but it isn't the Tammany Hall corruption that was going on for decades at the turn of the 19th and into the 20th century. Now, hey, when I was a teen, the Queensboro president Donald Mannix committed suicide. And these, by the way, these are all positions that have like literally like figurehead, very little authority if you're the borough president. But why did he commit suicide? Because he was caught or about to get caught for skimming meters. He figured out a way to get the meter collections. These were physical meters that were collecting like dimes and quarters, whatever it was back then. and he was skimming on a daily basis his pocket and the pocket of his cronies. So yeah, there's lots of interesting corruption that goes on in.
You want to watch a good movie, an interesting movie, an old black and white 40s movie? Find a copy of The Great McGinty by Preston Sturges.
Why does that sound familiar?
That has all sorts of like wonderful little corruption things. It's Brian Dunleavy's this guy McGinty, and the first thing they run about, he's like, he's up at the soup lines with the candidates, putting up the soup lines and stuff, and they say, you want to make a few bucks? Go vote for this guy here, and then they'll give you a thing, and you get your $3. Well, he ran over all the boroughs, but all the voting places. And he just said a certain word. They give him a ticket back, and he go vote. And he voted like 36 times.
Oh, nice.
And it's like, and even the boss said, "Don't you know you're only supposed to vote once? Pay the man." He made like $75. And it's a great movie. Wonderful movie about that kind of thing. Anyway, Glenn, never seen anything fall off a truck ever.
That's okay. I mean, I've seen stuff.
I thought you'd seen me fall off the vegetable truck.
I've seen stuff fall out the back of a large SUV. It happened to be Swords and Wizardry third prints that all got road rash as they went. The door, we didn't have the back door secure, and after being stopped at an intersection, started up. Door opened up, and 2 full boxes of Swords and Wizardry. Complete with the infamous burning bush version. They got severe road rash.
Burning vagina.
Yeah, and we had to. They wound up being freebies. We gave them out. So
see this bad boy right here, my rule cyclopedia.
I like
it. Survived falling off the top of my car.
All right. Well,
not this copy. This is another copy, but the original. I was in Long Beach visiting my parents, and I went to check out a game store which wasn't there, and I put the book on top of the roof, and I forgot about it, and I went over. Oh, they're not here, and I got into the car, and it was still on the roof, and it fell off. I saw the back mirror. I turned the car and I parked it sideways in the road so nobody would get it, and ran out and got it. And I think because of this cover, I think it still survived.
Mr. Gunn, I understand exactly what fell off a truck means, because when I was in the 4-1 precinct at in the late 90s, Hunts Point, the Hunts Point market.
Good night, David.
Included. Good night, Dave. In that area, and God, yes. We would hear things falling off trucks. But we also heard of the local Conrail station was always getting poached overnight for.
Well, and there's also like the 5-figure discount,
Oh yeah, I mean,
and the midnight auto supply.
It was certainly those areas. The mob was, even back then, was still involved in the Hunts Point market. That's the reason why they moved the Fulton Fish Market up to Hunts Point, was to break the mob's connection in Manhattan, move it up to the Bronx. But the mob was already instilled in parts of it. It was. You listen. Organized crime, random jackasses are not going in overnight to the Conrail yard and opening up train cars full of beer and walking away with 100 cases of Corona and 75 cases of Heineken without it being organized crime. It's not some random jackass.
You remind me of a story when I lived in up Northern California in Silicon Valley, and I worked for National Semiconductor. When Atari had a big hiring drive, the opening, their big Atari system came out.
Right.
Half the people I worked with left to go to Atari. My boss left and go into Atari, and he offered me a job there. I said no. One of the smartest things I ever did, because within 9 months, those people were out of a job because Atari went under. But you know, one of the reasons why Atari was going under?
Why?
Shrinkage. I hear stories about guys taking full Atari game systems and dumping them in the trash, in the dumpster, and then coming back at midnight and picking them out.
Oh yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. They lost a lot of stock.
I mean, I don't know if folks remember Crazy Eddie, which was a New York retailer.
Well, I've heard of him.
Okay, you remember the commercials? Crazy Eddie, his prices are insane.
I saw him on YouTube. Yeah.
So Crazy Eddie had financial problems, and part of the problems, I found this out when I was working retail at Stern's department store. I was working in electronics. We got a new stockman who had previously worked for Crazy Eddie. Crazy Eddie was still in business. He's there for 2 days. And he comes up to me and tells me how at Crazy Eddie they would steal $1,000 plus a day in merchandise. And he told me the method they did it was to mark things out as damaged and then destroyed. And what they would really do is just have a van come up at night, load the van up with the shit, and everybody would get a cut. And he wanted to get the same thing going at my department store. The first thing I did was I knew I had a security, and I was like, we have an issue. And because I'm not gonna. At that point, either I'm in or I'm gonna rat you out. There's no middle ground, because if I go middle ground, I'm just as guilty.
You can't really turn a blind eye.
You can't. It was too fucking stupid and obvious about it. So
you're all in or all out.
But all in or out. And I was like, I am certainly not in on this one. But that is part of the reason why Crazy Eddie went out of business, was shrinkage. And it was organized shrinkage at nearly every store they had. I mean, I used to go to Crazy Eddie to buy my Commodore 64 games. I would be going like, what was it, like Panzer Command or something like that. They had a nice little section with the Commodore 64 games at the time. But shrinkage, I mean, even working retail, we had shrinkage, but not too much in my department, because most everything we sold was either in a stock room, we had to bring it out, or it was behind a locked case. But when you're talking, clothing, I mean, we had coworkers that would shoplift with their bags with a false bottom in it, or they would take returns from friends with no receipts and give back store credit on stuff that was literally just lifted off racks. Mm-hmm. So we saw a lot of that stuff. If you work in a retail environment, you were going to see shrinkage, and
sometimes blatantly.
It is amazingly stupid what some people think that they can get away with. Which, again, coming back to role-playing games, and not just it's amazingly stupid what some players think that they can get away with, but getting your players involved in illicit activities is certainly a good way to get them involved in a campaign. And don't let them know that it's an illicit activity. They just think they're doing, this guy.
I've had that before.
This trader just needs an escort, not realizing that the trader is actually a fence, and the defense is going to be selling off stolen goods, and somebody's going to come to reclaim their stolen goods. These are all little things that you can throw in, because there's like a little real world history to it. Always try to, if you can, in my opinion, base everything. It's a fantasy world, but there should be some grounding reality for every little bit, because then your players buy in easier. When it's so fantastical that there's no way any of this shit could ever happen, the buy-in is hard. I mean, it's like when I watch police movies, what was it? The 22 Blocks with Bruce Willis, and 21 Bridges, a recent one. I know the police procedures. I know how this stuff goes down, and when I can't enjoy those movies because I can't allow myself to. Because I'm like, we don't do that shit. Like an early CSI episode where they took evidence from like a sexual assault and put it in plastic bags for evidence, and that
I know
rots
it's like
away in a minute. Well,
it's like watching with my best friend Dana back in Long Beach when not the regular series, but when Raymond Burr started doing the Perry Mason movies,
right?
And he would watch that. And my best friend Dana is a lawyer.
Okay.
And he would just sit there going, no, they don't do that. No, they can't do that. They do it this way, type of thing. So it's like, yeah, you're really taking the Mickey out of this. You know that?
And that's I try not to do that to people that watch these movies with me. I try not to be, but you want your players to suspend their disbelief. There has to be a little grounding in reality for them to do so. I can watch some cop shows and allow myself to enjoy it because they aren't so far over the edge. It's like, all right, I'll ignore the fact that our police commissioner does not wear a uniform and have 5 stars on his shoulder like Tom Selleck. I can ignore that because other stuff here is fairly legit. But you have to get that buy-in from your players. And to get that buy-in, you have to give them some kind of grounding. That's my experience.
Folks, we're going to spend the next hour talking about role-playing games because we've spent the last hour talking about nothing else. Nothing.
No, we have talked about role-playing games.
Here and there, but we owe it to them.
Yes, Big Vic. You remember those
viewers?
Yes, it was.
Viewers like you. Thank you. Sorry, I thought it was PBS.
Can you hold this for me, Tenkar? I just got to go into the restroom. It's the
Lord's work.
Just a few days. Don't don't put it under your bed. That's too obvious.
Hey, this bag. I'll come back and get it in a couple of days. Just hold it for me, okay?
Hey, no problem. If they ask for it, nothing. All right, just a good old favor. Yes, no buying like Strixhaven or Spelljammer, and I think
yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, we've all heard, right, that the sales of official published by Wizards of the Coast D&D product has been. We haven't seen the sales figures, but we've heard the stories that the sales numbers are down, that the reviews have been less than stellar for a lot of the more recent products coming from Wizards of the Coast for the D&D line. And why else do you listen? The reboot, we could kind of expect it. It's the 50th anniversary. I thought we were going to get something that was close. Technically, they're not changing the engine, all right? But they're going to change all the parts. So it's going to be like, well, yeah, you have a Subaru engine, but the car's going to be a Hyundai. I'm like, I don't know about that. But that's kind of what they're saying they're going to do. So they're going to keep the engine, and everything from before will be compatible. Okay, you can use your older material with the newer rules, but doesn't mean you can use the old rules with the new rules. That is the sticky question. All right, because they're already saying that they're going to make these new characters are going to get a lot of their top end powers earlier. So who are you selling this to? You're selling this to people who don't have the patience to get up to, I don't know, whatever the optimal level is now in 5e, but if it was 20th level now and you give me a 20th level power at level 15, it's like Spinal Tap, right? This one goes to 11. Why did they go to 11? Because 11's louder than 10. Why not just make 10 louder? Oh, all right. Well, now we're making 15 louder, so then 20 is going to have to be even louder than it was.
Oh, by the way,
yes.
while I'm thinking about it, how's your lawsuit going?
Meet with my attorneys next week,
Okay.
and
It's gaming related, folks.
yeah, no, listen. At some point, we are going to, and I say we, me, my wife, we're going to do a GoFundMe to help with the legal expenses. I had to put down my retainer, but I'll have more of an idea after I sit down with my attorneys and see what our game plan is. Not going to reveal any cards, although I guess I could reveal one card, right? Where is it still on my desk over here somewhere? Oh
What's that?
no, that's right. That's Luke's card. That's
Oh,
not my card. My card is here somewhere. Oh, here we go. Here. This is the only card I'll reveal right now. The Tenkarian Gibberer. Because honestly, obviously you're not trying to slander or libel me with this, so you know.
oh, what the hell? And let's see. I still have my prep to do for Monday, which is
Glenn, how many
which-
games are you playing in a week?
2.
Okay.
Actually, 1.5 because 1 is every other week. I've got, but this is the Monday where I get to run Hyperborea. So
Oh, okay.
so they're in the middle of a snake temple right now, and we'll see how it goes. Trying to rescue a female cleric
All right. So
who
now, are
who
you
is
running? Are
not
you running Hyperborea second edition, or are you running the new PDF?
a little bit of both because my players are using the 3rd edition PDFs, but I'm still using the 2nd edition book. But I got my notice, and the books should be here the day after I run this game.
All right. Well, listen. At least you know yours are shipping. I don't know when mine are shipping yet.
Yeah.
So.
But hopefully it'll be here a day early so I can bring it to the game. But because
Okay.
that I love the 2e book to death, but it's heavy.
Yeah.
I don't like reading off a tablet or a computer.
No, I got you.
So there you go. Usually when we go to the game, I have all my other stuff engaged. You carry the book. You're younger than me. You carry the book.
Tom, does that mean THACO is like a manual transmission? No, the manual
Yeah.
transmission. No, manual transmission was prior.
I can drive
THACO.
a manual.
The manual transmission was going from the GM screen or from those dog-eared pages that are now smeared with finger oils, where you had your combat matrices. So the combat matrix, that was manual.
20, page 75 DMG.
There you go. You know, just like in your monster manual, probably the Succubus page is the one that your book opens up to right away. If you got it as a teenager, my DMG opens right up to those combat.
She wasn't that hot. She wasn't that hot.
She wasn't Lonnie Anderson, that's for sure.
All right, I'll go. You're right.
Monster Heroes meets D&D. No furry hero.
No.
Gerard, people want to multi-class but still get the class Apex ability, and that's part of it too, right? They want to play superheroes, and I was playing a 5th level monk in our 5e game at ShireCon, and I had so many abilities as a 5th level monk, I couldn't even figure out what to do.
God, that's one thing I loved about 5e is the monk.
I mean, just too much. I didn't know how to make. I was like, this ability looks interesting. I just don't know how to. Shit. You know what? I'll probably not be using that. It's like, I need to play a spellcaster. If I played a spellcaster, it would have been even more overwhelming, personally.
But I wouldn't let you near a rock to mud spell.
No, man, that was. And when I talk, I didn't, Mr. Gunn. I didn't give any details.
You didn't say anything.
I'm going to be talking.
I was just asking, what's the next step? That's all.
You know, and the step after that will probably be doing the GoFundMe because it's going to be expensive. That's what it comes down to. Every attorney I've spoken to told me that most likely I had to set my GoFundMe goal at 50,000, and that is probably lowballing it. But
Wow.
it's the situation that it is. So we shall see how that plays out. Tammy, love it again. That's a lot of gamers are behind you, Eric. Thank you.
We are. Thank you, Dan.
There are.
We are.
And there are a few, one or two that will tell you that Tenkar and he who should not be named, Candyman. How about I say Candyman? Tenkar and Candyman are the same. That's okay.
Well, they can go pound sand.
I know. I guess my issue is for some, I am not politically aligned on either side, and therefore both sides have those issues.
What are my thoughts on Hyperborea 3? I love it because they haven't changed very much, and they've added some good stuff. And I also like the fact it's 2 books.
Well, see, now that's it too. If you can add without taking away what it's built on, then you're making an edition that's compatible to the prior edition.
Right.
Adding stuff doesn't take away.
Right. Like last week, was it the week before? I was at Matt's and I ran Index Card RPG. I got the Master Edition. I had the core, which was the previous edition.
Right.
But since they changed stuff in and added stuff, I gave it to Matt. And Matt had it at the table, and I looked at it, I go, I'm almost sorry I gave this to you because there's additional stuff they took out of here that I wouldn't mind adding back into it. Like certain classes and things like that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
But your podcast, yes. Thank you. Okay. I know usually we didn't really have anybody else for me to play, so I just sort of watched. This was at what I talked about earlier, where I was dead and I stayed dead for the whole session. I called the episode "My Life as a Corpse," but it was a lot of fun. Thank you, Doc.
Yes, Mr. Gunn. Legal actions in the United States are expensive, and you effectively get what you pay for. So, right. and listen, for those that don't know the history, we're going to talk about a different company named TSR. This is the TSR that was publishing Gygax magazine. Now, Gygax magazine got into a legal dispute with Gail Gygax because she claimed the trademark for Gygax. Gygax is a proper name.
Right.
My understanding of trademark laws, you cannot trademark a proper name, but she was claiming it. So there was a legal action. She was filing a trademark claim. In the end, it was a negotiated settlement. The settlement was, if you were going to remain with TSR and work on Gygax magazine, part of the agreement was you had to agree to never make any disparaging comments about Gil Gygax in public or private, written, oral, any version. That was part of the agreement. So there were a number of people like Luke, Ernie, Tim Kask, who basically said, go F yourself, go pound some sand. We're not agreeing to that. The remainders at TSR agreed to it. However, both sides paid $100,000 or more. I've been told 6 figures or low 6 figures. That's at least $100K on both sides. So figure $250,000 likely was spent on a legal action that led to the end of Gygax magazine. Had no benefit for anybody, right? No life. It wasn't like Gail was going to. The agreement was, but more important for her was that people could not say bad things about her.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with the Gygax magazine, if you no longer have Luke or Ernie, it's no longer Gygax, right? You don't have any Gygaxes working on it. Without
Right.
Tim Cass, the original editor of Dragon,
Dragon.
you don't have those links. So that's a little background on that.
It could be a Gygax magazine. I mean, I don't think there's anybody in the Walt Disney family that is working at Disney. Just saying.
Well, yeah, but Disney is well, I guess Disney is a trademark that goes back a while now, but Gygax was never Gygax Publishing, right? It was always TSR. But hey, I mean, there was a Gygax game company that was supposed to be publishing games through. Oh God, I forget the name of the crowdfunding source that is equivalent to Kickstarter but for video games. But it's been years now, and we haven't seen anything on that front. So, Tammy, holy wow! Yes, we will support you as much as we can, Eric. Thank you. I know I have a lot of support, and it's appreciated. It really is, and it can be humbling. But lawyers need new cars, folks. Listen, um, I always look at lawyers, and I look at a lawyer, and I look at a doctor, right? And it's always like, all right, everybody generally loves their doctors. People don't necessarily love their lawyers, but they're both needed, right? But for different reasons. It's kind of like firemen and cops. Everybody loves firemen, right? Because firemen come, they save your life. Everybody needs a cop at some point, but it could also be cops coming to arrest you, your sibling, your child, your parent. So there's also that I fucking hate cops. I understand the dynamics. It's a weird one, but barristers have been around ever since we started codifying the law, and our laws are based upon British common law, except for Louisiana, which is based upon the Napoleonic Code. That's
Napoleonic Code. Yeah, we're based on British law, only it's more understandable here.
Yeah, and they don't have to wear funny wigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, are you wearing your powdered wig today? Get to see the focus again and getting blurred out. I'm beginning to look like I'm viewing myself drunk, and that didn't look good.
Aren't you?
No. Glen,
what are you guys
read Easy D6? What are your thoughts?
Yes, I'm sorry I can't put links in here. Only Eric can do that. But I did do an old Man Grognard review on Easy D6, and I liked it. It's published by the same people, Runehammer Games, who published the Index Card RPG. But I think I like Index Card a little more.
Is that like a green cover on Easy D6?
It's black with green.
All right. Actually, I think I'm not sure if I got a copy or if there was like a deal of the day and I grabbed the PDF, but I kind of remember the cover to that. Gail Gygax was
second Mrs. Gary Gygax.
Second Mrs. Gary Gygax. She was Gary's secretary. I believe before dating Gary, she dated Ernie briefly.
Whoa.
So, yes. So just to put that into perspective.
Wow. Was he robbing the cradle or what?
So there's one child via Gail that is Alex Gygax. Alex doesn't play, from what I understand, he's more of a Magic the Gathering player. He's not a big D&D player, but he's usually at the Gary Cons.
He's a gamer, so.
He's a gamer. That's what matters. RPG.
Oh boy, here we go.
Did you ever get the Far West PDF? If so, did you look through it? So the Far West PDF, what was released was like I guess the separate PDFs, the chapters to it. There's no final PDF. This is the work in progress PDF. I glanced over it real short because I am not going to spend my time looking for something that's not final, and then have to look at the final works again. Um, it's based upon the Open D6 system. It's a decent system. Um, do I think it was worth the 11-year wait as of this coming January? Fuck no. Was it worth the $150 I spent to get a hardcover book and my portrait? Fuck no. And I don't
You got
expect.
the portrait though.
Yeah, with the great red hands. You've seen that one. Oh my god. Um, Personally, this is my opinion. I have no inside information, just based upon 10 years of this Kickstarter never completing, 10 years of likely mingling the Kickstarter cash with personal finances and expenses, because Gareth certainly had a lot of issues going on the last 10 years. I do not believe, personally, that there is money left to put this book out there to the backers. That's my belief. I may be proven wrong, but if he can put them out, he's going to lose money on it, because he was basing his prices on stuff 10 years ago, and he's probably shipping overseas.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's now. Would I say, hey, listen, maybe he does print on demand? Maybe he does print on demand. I paid $150 up front. Are you going to tell me I'm going to get a print on demand coupon and have to pay another $20 to get my book delivered to me? I think a lot of people would be pissed for that too. So, and by the way, the whole Far West being this multimedia thing, which he had planned on music and fiction and videos. He's lucky this shit comes out. I don't expect any follow-up material to it, honestly, but Tom,
Yep.
first thing we do, we kill all the lawyers, and then you kill all the doctors, and then you let everybody die. Right? There's never a cop around when you need one. That's true, Mr. Gunn. Lucky for me, I live near a donut shop. Fast service. I kid, Tenkar. When I used to have in my profile Coppers and Crawlers on N-World, and back when Gary Gygax was still alive and he would frequent the boards, he'd have his thread. Was it Colonel Plateau or something like that? And I made some comment, and he asked me, Coppers and Crawlers, what? Not a donut, because I had Chief Wiggums as my avatar at the time. And I told him flat out, I go, NYPD, we wear dark blue uniforms. You never ate a donut. Crawlers, you could get a crawler without any kind of, you could usually get them. They wouldn't have the white powdered sugar on it, or maybe they would have brown sugar on it, and that's stuff you could brush off your uniform if you got on it. But donuts that were powdered were the bane of our existence, the bane. So, yeah, kind of avoided it. And there weren't too many donut shops in the South Bronx in the late 90s. You had to drive to find one.
For D6? Easy D6?
Yeah.
I'm going to take another look at that. I mean, I read it, I did the review, and I put it on the shelf.
All right, so Tom was telling me that I remembered it right. According to Ernie, he dated Gail before she moved on to his father. Okay, then.
All righty then. Night,
Big.
Night, sir. Knowing Bernie, I would have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. For a minute, I thought he wrote Luke, and I'm going, Luke.
Yeah, Luke would have been way too young.
Thanks.
I don't believe Far West will be finished until next year. Hey,
you're gonna make book on that? You want to bet on that?
I think it was supposed to be done by the end of September this time. All right, and I believe it was like mutedhorn.info or something like that has the Far West missed deadlines for like every time Gareth has given us one. And folks, you do know that he was writing for the Star Trek line under Michael Brophy under his alias because they promised that they would not have Gareth write any more material, but then they used more of his material under a pen name. So, and yeah, listen, don't get me wrong, the guy has to make a living, but yes, you also have to make whole you have the backers that gave you nearly $50,000 at some point. At some point. Oh my God, Glenn! We cleared out the back of the. No. Oh my God! No, you didn't have to ask me about Ken Whitman news. All right. Yes, there is Ken Whitman news.
There is.
Oh my God! Yes, I found it out today. Hold on.
Please tell me. I'm dying
So
to know.
apparently, Ken Whitman is involved with a not-for-profit as an executive.
You can't make any money off of that.
Oh yes, you can. Trust me. So
you'll find a way. Yeah.
I'm gonna read the press release from the Community Film Collaborative press release. Community Film Collaborative Incorporated is a new nonprofit organization that is focused on the youth of Boyle County, Kentucky, in the pursuit of filmmaking and storytelling. Danville, October 14th, 2022. The Community Film Collab announced that they are here to stay. They look forward to creating short films with underprivileged youth who are interested in the art of filmmaking and storytelling. The CEO, the Chief Executive Officer of the Community Film Collaborative, Whitman, can you believe it? And I just heard, I thought we lost Glenn there for a second.
Yeah, you did. I was trying to adjust my screen, and I forgot it's a touch screen, and I managed to X out of the browser.
The CEO, Whitman, stated there are a lot of young adults struggling to find their path in life. We reach out into the community to educate young adults about opportunities that they didn't even know existed. We even help our students attain career opportunities or continue their education in the arts at local universities. Our goal is to find 50-plus young adults by the end of 2023. If you know any young adults living in the Boyle County, Kentucky area that need a helping hand or interested in learning the art of filmmaking and storytelling, please contact us at, and by the way, just so you know, the link doesn't work. And I'm going to spell out the link. Actually, no. Here, I will share the link.
Really?
I will share the link so you all can see and know why the link does not work. Hold on. Okay. So,
community.
How do you spell community?
Community?
Yes. So the link doesn't work. So I had to do a Google search. And I did a Google search and I found the working link. So let me get the working link.
Well, okay.
And the working link is, I'm guessing this went up real recently because it is mostly an empty website with like holders and stuff, but this is where you can go.
I have only one question now.
Yes.
How many Kickstarters do you start for this?
Actually, none. Now, folks that have been watching this channel may know that since I guess the summertime, Ken Whitman has been trying to come onto this channel. He wants to be interviewed. Any stories, any questions for any of you, please feel free to have me on. Excuse me. But we don't want to really have Ken on into something to talk about. Now, this could be interesting, but as was pointed out by my wife, because they're looking for donations, by the way, but the donations aren't really set up just yet.
And for every question you ask, you get a free pencil dice.
Yeah. You get a pencil dice. We sell it. We send them out one at one. It's Whitman now. Yes, because Ken Whitman
Witless Whitman.
is tarnished. But here's the thing: no inside information. This is just coming from my wife, who, as a social worker, knows how these things work. She believes it is quite likely that Ken got a grant or two, because we have similar things up here in New York City, and they were usually grant funded, and he got a grant or two. Now, I am not saying that Ken has learned how to expense everything, including the air people breathe, but I would not be surprised if Ken found a way to expense everything, including the air people breathe. But that is the update. It came up today. It came to my somebody PM'd me that crap today. Yeah, so of course it's a nonprofit when all the funds disappear, Mr. Gunn. Yeah, I sounds like Dave Film US is involved. Listen, as much as I have issues with Ken Whitman and him threatening to sue me and have the FBI on my front porch and all this other bullshit, I would never put Ken Whitman down as far in the social stratosphere as Dave, the Dave in question. Dave Films US, no. Doc Whitman has a new scam for sure. He's certainly working angles. I am not gonna say it's a scam, but I will say I am sure he's working angles. I am sure he is not doing it for free.
God made little green apples. He's doing it.
Yep. The incompetence is strong with the Whitman, Tom. Well, he keeps on trying. He's like an ever-ready bunny. Bing, bing, bing. But we shall see. Is the incompetence weaponized? Yeah, I don't believe Ken Whitman is an evil individual. I just believe that the world revolves around Ken. And
that's not evil?
No, that's selfish. I mean, if selfish is evil, but I don't see that. People like Dave from Dave Films US, they're evil in their beliefs. It's like there's a difference with that. Yeah. Ye old Grant. Yep, that's likely what is going on there. So there is a donate button, but the donate button doesn't really bring you anywhere. But hey, submit your name and address and contact info, and I guess we'll get back to you.
It takes you to a photograph of the inside of Ken Whitman's pocket.
Whoa, look at that. It's dark and empty. How'd that work out? All right, yeah, Mr. Gunn, narcissism, is it evil? Glenn, good question. I
it's
don't
not
know.
Evil if not, it's not evil if you have it.
Right. Now, from your perspective, if you have it, no, it's not evil. I'm not evil. I'm just drawn that way.
I'm just looking out for my well-being.
There you go. And if it's at your expense, so be it. So be it. So yeah, go figure. You ask about Ken Whitman, and there's Ken Whitman news.
And the floodgates open.
God. And yeah, and yes, folks, there's been no news on the pencil dice in what years? Remember a couple summers ago, Ken was cranking out those pencil dice, and
well, I've got my Hyperborea coming Tuesday, so the only thing I have to worry about if I ever think about it is Yar.
Oh, Yar! I don't even think about Yar anymore.
I once a year I may get a progress report on that.
I mean, with Yar, just put out the effing PDF. You know, but what's a good way to I don't want to say this and offend people that don't need to be offended, but if you're a gamer, okay, and if you've gamed over the years, you've seen that gaming attracts people from different spectrums of life, including people that happen to be on the spectrum. And that's not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just making an observation. And there are some people who want to be creative, can be creative, but aren't able to commit to the creativity part. They, whatever it is, they stress out. We've seen this happen numerous times, and sometimes it's because uh, these failures, usually on Kickstarter, are because half the team flakes out, leaving one with everything. We pretty much saw that with the Memorial Tomb. You know, Ernie, it was overwhelming, and Ernie pretty much flaked out, leaving Benoit the full ball. With Patrol Lord game coming in and literally rescuing it with man hours. They're not necessarily putting money into it. There's money there, but the man hours needed to make that into a reality are hours that are being put in by Troll Lord and their crew. That's a rare thing. You know, Far West, if it finally shows up, it's not going to be because somebody came in and white knighted it. You know, when the couch surfing wizard Mike Nystool shit the bed on multiple Kickstarters, some people tried to help. James, not James Shields. Oh God, what's Shields' first name in this case? Shields came in, tried to do the work basically without getting paid, and then kept getting stepped on. So there are so many failures for different reasons. But in a case like Mike Nightstool, he realized after the fact that spending the money on turning these unfinished projects into a publishing company, while actually not publishing anything, is not a way to make money. It was a misuse of funds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. You okay?
Yeah, no. When you're on blood thinners, so you spontaneously. I must have like thin skin there. I spontaneously spring a leak sometimes from my.
Carry a styptic pencil.
That would make way too much sense, Glenn. Holy shit!
So, what movies are you going to? Funny you should ask. You know, I got a great big old like 60-inch ultra high density, you know, ultra 4K Blu-ray player and TV. So I'm having a ball. I've just finished watching Night of the Demon again today. I've watched some Dracula. What else? I've been watching a lot of Twilight Zone. Just because they look really good in HD. The funny thing about like the 4K, it's almost like it looks like it's so clear, crisp and clear. It's like you're on the set. I don't even notice. Even the older black and white movies, are like that, and the TV shows. They just Becky. When we first got it, Becky goes. She's watching her streaming stuff. She goes, "It's like I'm in the room with them." I say, "Yeah, that's why it's 4K." And they just look, everything you put in there too. I put Blu-rays in there, looks great. But yeah, that's pretty much, I don't know what I'm going to be watching next. Probably The Thing from Another World. That's always a good one. I like the classics. So what about you, Doc? What have you been watching for Halloween? Throw it right back at you, boy.
There you go. You will see The Northman. No, I have not.
My wife has, I think. No, it's my son, my stepson. He's watching. It looked pretty good from what I saw.
I have to admit that after Rich and I finished off watching The Sandman, we have been very lax in watching any movies or on-demand shows. We watched the first episode of the new Game of Thrones, and it was good. Haven't gone back to it yet. Have not watched the new Star Wars probably should at some point. Have not watched a single minute of the Lord of the Rings on Amazon, Rings of Power. So I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. There you go, Doc. He says, I'll be watching Frankenstein Bride of Son of last year. We watched the. Oh, yeah. I got a lot of those too. My favorite is still The Thing from Another World. And Mr. Gunn, the old thing, the 1950s Thing from Another World. I like that movie a lot. It's just too cool for school, I think. I don't have anything recent. I think the most recent thing I have is the Evil Dead movies.
Oh,
Army of Army of Darkness, of course.
Of course.
Yeah. I've got all the Universal Monster movies on Blu-ray, so I can go through any of those. And if the grandkids come over again, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein is going to be coming out.
Right. Oh, certainly.
I'm always looking for a family-friendly Halloween movie I could show the little ones.
Right.
And the Abbott and Costello stuff is a no-brainer, pretty much.
Yeah.
But I was looking for I have Nightmare Before Christmas. Okay, I should know that. But then I found out I had a Don Knotts set, and I had The Ghost and Mr. Chicken. That's a great Halloween movie for kids.
I never even heard of it, let alone saw it.
Emma, that's his first feature-length film. And the way it plays is, she said, it's like a Scooby-Doo movie. I said, yeah, I guess you're right. Only with Don Knotts.
All right, well, Scooby, I could see Scooby-Doo being Shaggy.
Yeah. What? You mean Don Knotts being Shaggy?
Oh, yeah, the other way around.
But it's like a small town, and there's a haunted place that has a bad reputation, and he's a guy who works on the newspaper. He's scared of everything, and the typical Don Knotts shtick. And this was his first movie after leaving Mayberry. So,
okay.
It was, check it out sometime. The Ghost and Mr. Chicken. It's a lot of fun. Show it to your niece. She'd like it.
It's not new enough, Uncle. No, that'll be my son saying that shit.
Well, yeah, your niece would like it. Well, around here, it's in black and white. I don't want to watch it.
Don, Aliens and The Thing are great movies. Aliens is definitely rewatchable. I need to. And apparently it's the old Thing. Then
with James
Mantis. All right.
Yeah, with James Arness as the giant alien carrot. I got this two volume set of 50s sci-fi movies that Best Buy put out as a special deal, which you now can get on eBay and stuff for cheap. But I got stuff like Tarantula in there and Dr. Cyclops, Incredible Shrinking Man. The Monolith Monster is one of my favorites.
Mr.
So,
Gunn.
yeah.
Kautu, Verta, and Niktu. Or Nikta.
Whatever. Cloud Toad Verata.
Doesn't really matter.
I said your damn words.
RPG overviews. Our new Hellraiser was disappointing, but better than any of the low-budget newer ones. Nothing beats the first two. Prey was cool, but a little silly at spots. Abbott and Costello were awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Doc, I've been reviewing the classic, iconic horror movies from Universal on my podcast.
Oh, yeah.
You can't understate how much, say, Dracula influenced every vampire movie that came after.
Do you have the Universal set, whether it's DVD or Blu-ray? Because, that's the entire run right there of the main monsters. I'm also collecting like the Universal programmer stuff like Horror Island, that kind of thing.
Oh,
the ones where they were like horror B-movie programmers, and once in a while Bela Lugosi would be in it just as a red herring or something.
Oh, really?
I also have the stuff like the Black Cat and the Raven, all that good 30s stuff. Plus, I've got the 3-volume. Wait a minute, I'll show you.
Tom,
I forgot I watched these early on too.
Oh,
3 volumes of the Vincent Price collection.
Oh, that's
from Screen Scream Factory. Practically every one he did, except for some reason they put the Return of the Fly on here, but they didn't put the Fly. I don't know why. You know, except Pit and the Pendulum, Mask of the Red Death. Mask of the Red Death, my favorite. Haunted Palace, Fall House of Usher, Abominable Dr. Fives, Witchfinder General, Raven, Comedy of Terrors, Tomb of Lygia, Last Man on Earth, Dr. Fives Rise Again, Return of the Fly, House on Haunted Hill, Master of the World, Tower of London, Diary of a Madman, An Evening of Edgar Allan Poe, and Cry of the Banshee. And I just got from Kino Theater of Blood. So I'm up to my neck in Vincent Price.
Damn, Glenn, you gotta do some video watching.
Yeah, I got to do some. What I want to do, I'd love to do like a film series at my house, because I have I've got like over 1,000 discs, and I want to share them with people. I want to like, hey, check this out. This is neat, type of thing.
Right.
You know. Plus, I have 2 shelves full of Mill Creek like 50, 100 movie sets that I call it my grindhouse section, because I like to dig through them to see if I can find some diamonds in the bad stuff. I have found a few.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm once again, folks, spouting off about movies. But
that could be part of our bingo cards.
That is true. Yeah, I thought Cry of the Banshee was pretty good this year. I'd like to get the oblong box. But yeah, watching Vinnie Price, a lot of fun. Probably give you some good ideas for your game too.
Yeah, my childhood movies that scared the crap out of me were, and going, since there's a theme here of the drive-in, The Omen scared the crap out of me. So
Did it?
My parents and my sister. My sister was too young to understand what was going on. Me, I was terrified. And then I saw Ben at the drive-in. And seeing Ben at the drive-in was actually a lot of fun. I wasn't terrified with that.
You didn't see Willard?
No.
The first one?
No, we saw Ben.
Oh, that was a sequel.
Yep.
And Theater of Blood was Vinny's favorite film. Actually, it was one of 2 favorite films. It was Theater of Blood and The Great Mouse Detective. He said he loved doing that, the voice on that. Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot I got Outer Limits too. I could look through that. I got Outer Limits. I got Boris Karloff's Thriller TV show.
Oh, okay.
So I got a lot to draw from.
It wasn't Michael Jackson's Thriller, so all right.
One of these days I'm going to have to. I mean, I've got them listed on other. I've got listed on on here on the internet somewhere, and I got to figure out some way to like post. Here's all the movies I have. Just, I don't want to show them off, but it's like, God, anyway. I'm babbling now. And don't tell me I can't use these for gaming too, especially stuff like this.
I'm sure you can.
And I've got like 3 in my grindhouse section. I got like 3 or 4, like 150, 200 spaghetti westerns that I could draw on. Those are a lot of fun to do. Anyway,
if you're babbling, Glenn, just so you know, we're nearing an hour and 45 minutes.
How about that?
We're like Seinfeld.
Mm-hmm.
If that's
yeah. I should pull out Spider Baby and watch it too.
Don, there was a movie, I don't remember the name, it was from the 70s. A blind girl was in a house being hunted by a killer, and it scared her.
Wait Until Dark. Wait Until Dark.
Glenn knows.
That was based on a play. It was with Audrey Hepburn as the blind girl.
Your views. How about the Hammer horror flicks?
I love the Hammer horror flicks. I don't have hardly any of them because they're so hard to collect, because the rights have been spread over like 3 or 4 studios, so there is no real definitive set or anything, and I really have to work to collect them. But I do have stuff like Horror Express, The Devil Rides Out. That's a good one. That's with Christopher Lee.
Anyway, Horror of Dracula is where it's at.
I prefer the Frankenstein series.
I don't know them well enough to. I guess I gotta get back into my old movies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So, Glenn, should we tap out because these folks are never gonna let us go.
Well, I figured they'd be tapping out once we start talking movies.
Yeah,
It's your fault, Doc.
No, we don't need to cork my head. I'll be okay. But yeah,
okay.
good one though. I do like it.
Yeah,
spring leaks. Yeah, it's the same leak, man. It's the same leak. It's not more than the Titanic. It's just one single leak.
Yeah. If anybody can figure out a way I can have people over for a film festival, that'd be great. But anyway, other than that.
Well, you know what? Hey, there is a way. I know that I got to talk to. I
know you can do it online, but.
PEX used to have a way of having like a movie night and everybody's at home, but everybody watches the same movie. There was a service you could do it with. I gotta figure out.
Yeah, I've seen that on like Facebook where they have screenings.
Yeah, but you can pull up like you can supply the movie. One person supplies the movie. So
well, assuming it's on a format you can't really.
I know you kid because you care. I know. It's really hard to dab that when you're looking at yourself backwards on a freaking screen.
I hear you.
It doesn't make it work. I think Prime has that call to watch party. It could be. That might be interesting.
Okay. Has that call to watch party? Okay. Well, I think we should probably call it quits.
All right. Well, we will call the wrap up. So, folks, on the bottom of the screen, tenkarstavern.substack.com. This is where you're going to find links not to just the latest from this video channel, but Matt Jackson's video channel, Joe the Lawyer's video channel, Joe Block's video channel. We're going to include Glenn Hallstrom's podcast. Bad Mike and Rob Conley are working on video channels. They'll be on this. We're jokingly calling it the Tavern Network, but seriously, it's going to be a place to see what's going on in the OSR when it comes to the non-written way of distributing material. So, like I said, we'll add Glenn's podcast. Get the information from him this week and then put him on it. And other than that, as usual, we are in the midst of what? The endemic. Use your common sense. Or your uncommon sense, depending on who you are. Other than that, be safe, be well, God bless, roll those dice, roll them well.
Night, folks.
Thank you all for joining us. It really was great. And, oh my God. Somebody had Matt Jackson has a video channel. Why would anyone subject themselves to the visual suffering of that genetic phantasmagoria? Well, you know what? Here, James, he won't be falling off any ladders on screen. How about that? I believe Matt's channel is a lot about running solo games. So, and
good night, Mr. Spawn, and I love you too.
Yes, and we didn't talk about the Golden Girls because you weren't here.
Yeah.
And Mr. Gunn, thank you for saying what I didn't have to say. Oh, I don't say that. I don't say get your shots, by the way. I don't say wear your mask. I just leave it as use your common sense. May after good one though, may all your Kickstarters be fulfilled in a timely fashion. I like that. It's like Christmas. And may all your Christmases be bright. All right, folks. Right. I will catch you all later.
Good night, folks.